What are you doing? Your tongue dry?
It's what you all been waiting for.
Alright guys, so it has been a long time since I've been in a paint booth, about 5 years. Sure brings back a lot of memories, but we've got everything that we're going to be reshooting on the 03 Cobra prepped and ready to go. Front bumper, both side scoops, got the sail panel here, and then the A-pillar here in the back. So like I said, everything is prepped up and ready to go. So I'm going to mount a camera up here so you guys can watch the actual paint going on. And then we'll see the final product when we're done. Alright guys, so we are back from the paint booth. We've got most of the parts reinstalled on the 03 Cobra and it is looking really good, guys. I want to give a shout out to Joe Agent Automotive for allowing me to use his shop and paint booth for the weekend. That was definitely a huge help and I really appreciate it. But yeah guys, like I said, we got most of the parts reinstalled on the 03 Cobra and it is night and day different since the last time you guys have seen it, so check it out guys. All right, guys, so there she is. Like I said, night and day difference since the last time you guys have seen this car. And honestly, guys, it's the way this thing is turning out, it's making me want to keep the car. But anyways, like I said, guys, we've got most of the stuff reinstalled on the car. Front bumper's back on. The passenger side scoop is on. We still need to reinstall the driver side scoop, but we're buffing out that quarter panel over there still. And that's it, guys. We have that quarter panel over there, the door on the driver's side, the top of the spoiler here needs to be buffed out. And then, like I mentioned earlier in the video, there's a little spot somewhere in here. It's like a little dirt nib or a hair. It's kind of hard to see on video, but it's there. We need to wet sand and buff that out. I'll probably just go ahead and wet sand and buff out the entire A-pillar C panel there, or sail panel there. That way we're kind of matching the finish that we're already achieving, which is pretty much flawless, guys. There's a lot of dust on the car settling from all the buffing we've been doing. But yeah, guys, it's coming out really good. And then the only thing that we have left to do is install that new throwout bearing. Hopefully I'll have access to a lift within the next week or so. I can get that throwout bearing installed and then put it on an alignment rack, get it aligned, and that is it, guys. It is ready to go up for sale. The only other thing that I really have kind of left up in the air for right now is whether or not I'm gonna have the car tuned or just leave it up to the buyer to get it tuned, and then obviously, you know, cut a little bit off the sale price, you know, for them having to have the car tuned themselves. The reason for that is we recently installed the Kenny Bell supercharger, and I have not got the car tuned since then, or driven it for that matter. But that is the only other thing that we still have to decide what we're going to do there. But regardless, I think as soon as we get that throwout bearing and the car aligned and then get finished with the last few things that we're doing here, I think we're just going to throw the car up for sale and kind of, you know, leave it up to the buyer. If they want to, you know, pay full price for the car, I'll go ahead and pay to get the car tuned. Or if they would like to save a little bit of money on the car and pay a little less, tune it themselves, that's fine too. So that's probably where we'll go with that. All right, so let's see if we can get that little hair out of there. Where was it? There she is. All right, so hopefully you can see that on camera. And then I'll start wet sanding that and then show you kind of what it looks like once you've gotten it out. All right, so I got a piece of 1500 grit sandpaper. And we're just gonna start trying to work that out of there. And I'll show you real quick, guys, how you can kind of check on that. Once you've kind of sanded it a little bit, you see how you can kind of still see the little shiny area there? That's how you know you still got a little bit left to sand, but it looks like for the most part the hair itself is coming out. So we just need to go down a little bit more. We'll probably jump up to like a 2000 grit and then a 2500 grit for our final grit before we can buff it all out. And like I said, I'll probably go ahead and knock some of the orange peel out of there just so that we can kind of match the texture that we have on the rest of the car. So yeah, let me go ahead and finish up wet sanding this, and then I'll show you what it looks like before we buff it. All right, just so you guys can see before I go ahead and wet sand the entire panel down, you can see that the hair is completely gone. You won't see that at all once it's buffed out. And then just to show you guys here at the edges of where we were wet sanding, that's your actual orange peel texture there. And that, once it's knocked down and looks like this here, there won't be any orange peel texture and you'll have a glassy finish. And that's what we're gonna kind of do on the rest of that. Now, typically, if you were just doing like a refinish job, as long as it looks good out of the gun, which it does here, that's a normal orange peel finish. Typically, you would just leave that, knock any little nibs, kind of just like we did here, buff it out and send it out the door. But because the rest of the car is kind of all wet sanded and buffed and paint corrected, I don't want there to be a difference in texture from the sail panel to the quarter panel there. So that's why we're gonna go ahead, wet sand the entire panel down, the entire A panel, A pillar there, and then buff the rest of the stuff out, and then I'll show you what it looks like when we're done. All right, so I just wanted to show you guys what it'll look like after the first stage of compound. As you can see, this is why it's so hard to keep the car dust free, as I'm still buffing everything, but I think I'll just go ahead and finish everything up and then pull it outside and wash it. But sail panel's coming out real nice. You don't see any of the little dirt nibs that were in there anymore. And this is just the first stage of compound. There you can see the difference between the compounded and still wet sanded. That's sanded in a 2500 grit, so you can see it's all dull there. And that's pretty much where we stopped buffing. So we need to continue on, finish this A-pillar, then we can go to the second stage, third stage of compound. Then we'll do this wing over here so we can put that new third brake light in, and that's pretty much it, guys. All right, guys, we got the whole car covered in dust again, but sail panel looks really good. A-pillar, everything looks really good. So I'm happy with that. So now we can move along to the spoiler. Like I said, I still have a couple other things I probably won't do on video. Got a buff on the other side. But we'll get that spoiler done and then we can install that third brake light. All right, so the spoiler is done. Looking really good. A lot of dust on the trunk from buffing, but looking good. So now we can install that third brake light in there and we're good to go. So I'm sure a lot of you guys already know it's a real common problem with 03 Cobras for the third brake light to crack here on the edges where it mounts. Mine was obviously cracked on both sides, so couldn't use it anymore. Found these nice aftermarket versions from Carbon Driven. They make them in red and smoked, and they also make a standard flash and a sequential version. This here is the sequential version, so that should be pretty cool. So now that we got the spoiler all buffed out and ready to go, we can mount this third brake light in, and we are coming to the home stretch. This bad boy in. Oh, that looks good. Glad I went with the smoke. Yeah, that looks good. Guys, so the 03 Cobra is finally just about finished. I just need to wait for it to warm up a little bit outside. That way I could take it out, give it a real good bath, clean up under the engine bay a little bit. I need to clean up the interior, basically just give the car a good full detail. And then, like I said earlier in the video, hopefully I'll have access to a lift in the next week or so. I can get that throwout bearing installed, get the car aligned, and then that is it. She is done 100%. Except for, like I said, and let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Should I sell the car untuned, discount it maybe $2 or $3 grand, something like that? It shouldn't cost more than like $500 to $1,000 to get the car dyno tuned. So I could discount the car $2 or $3 grand and then just leave that up to the buyer. Or should I go ahead and suck it up, pay it, and get it dyno tuned and then sell it, you know, 100% ready to rock, 21,000 mile 03 Cobra. I'm thinking, you know, Kenny Bell built motor. It should be, you know, probably in a $25,000 range if the car was 100% turnkey, ready to go. And then just to be clear on the tuning part of it, when I say tune, I just mean, you know, so that the car is good to go to make wide open throttle hits. The car runs and drives perfectly fine just the way it is. So when I say tuning, I'm just referring to actually getting it tuned so that it's safe to go wide open throttle on the new supercharger and then whatever pulley combo you decide to go with. So that's going to wrap it up for this upload, guys. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.